Hello, and welcome to this 8-hour online driver improvement clinic for licensed drivers in Virginia. My name is Rob Robison. There are a few different reasons why you might be taking this class. Some of you may have been ordered by the court to take a driver improvement clinic. If so, that's a really good outcome for you. Some courts may dismiss the ticket once you've completed the class, or, if not that, you'll have some or all of the points the ticket would have added to your driving record removed. Make sure you provide us with the court order. We need it in order to report back to the court that you've completed the class. Some of you, if you're 18 and older, have been notified by the DMV that you've accumulated too many points on your driving record and need to reduce them by taking a driver improvement clinic. If you're 16 or 17, and the DMV is requiring this class, you won't be awarded the 5 safe driving points, but you can't keep your license unless you complete the course. Most insurers will reduce premiums for drivers who complete this class, but that's up to the company, and it's your responsibility to communicate with them. Remember though, if you're taking this class strictly for reduction in rates, you won't get any safe driving points, because the course will not be reported to the DMV. Virginia's point system isn't really all that complicated. Every April, you get awarded 1 driver safety point if you don't get any tickets in the preceding calendar year. They go into your account. If, on the other hand, you do get a ticket and plead guilty or are convicted, demerit points are applied that reduce the total points on your driving record. So, let's say you started 2016 with 0 points. Maybe you just got your license or moved to the state in 2015. If you get through the year without any citations or license suspensions, you'll have 1 point in your account as of April 2017. Another ticket-free year, and by April 2018, you'll have 2 points in your account. If you do get a ticket in 2018, you ran a stop sign, for example, then that means that 3 demerit points will be applied, bringing your account to a -1. You can try to make it through 2019 with no tickets, so you can get back to 0 by April 2020. Or you can complete a driver improvement clinic and earn 5 driver safety points, taking your account from -1 to +4. The most points that you can have in your account at any time is 5. There would be 5 points in your account after 5 years in a row without a ticket or suspension, but no more points would be awarded the following year. If you have another year without a ticket or suspension, your account would stay at 5. So a driver improvement clinic is a much quicker way to get your account to 5 if you started at 0, 1, 2, or 3. Or it can get you close to 5 as possible for those of you who started in a minus territory. Remember that if the DMV sees 12 demerit points applied in any 12-month period or 18 demerit points applied in any 24-month period, you'll be required to take a driver improvement clinic. That's if you're 18 and older. For 16 and 17-year-olds, 9 points within 1 year span and 12 within a 2-year span will trigger the requirement to take a clinic. Failure to do that will likely result in a license suspension. By the way, demerit points are removed after 2 years, no matter what happens in the interim. So the driver who ran the stop sign and had his account reduced to -1 would have the demerits removed after 2 years and go back to the level before the ticket. 2 points, plus another possible point for a ticket-free year that happened along the way. By the way, just because the demerit points are removed after 2 years, that doesn't mean the ticket itself is removed from your record. Most are removed after 3 years, but can stay on your record for longer if the infraction was more serious. You may wonder why the Commonwealth of Virginia is willing to award you 5 driver safety points or even dismiss a traffic ticket when you take this class. Or, for that matter, why insurers offer a lower insurance premium for taking the class. As it turns out, the Commonwealth of Virginia and insurers have learned through real-world experience that students who finish driver improvement clinics are safer drivers, cause fewer crashes, and therefore the residents of Virginia experience fewer tragic injuries and less property damage. How do we know this? Maybe you're old enough to remember what America's roads were like before seatbelt laws took effect in the 1970s and 80s, when over 50,000 people died on America's highways annually. Our population has increased a lot since then. So if this rate had continued, you might expect 75,000 people a year to die in vehicle crashes. Meanwhile, the number of miles that the average American drives has also increased, nearly doubled, in fact. So that taking into account the growing population and growing miles driven, you might expect something like 150,000 Americans to die in crashes every year. But this isn't what happened. Instead, by 2010, traffic fatalities were down to about 32,000 a year. While that's still too many, saving well over 100,000 lives a year is spectacular, not to mention a lot fewer injuries and money saved in medical costs, and so on. So how did this happen? The biggest drop in traffic deaths came in the 20 years after 1970, when seatbelt laws took effect here in Virginia and around the U.S. But by the 1990s, the gains in traffic safety stalled. The Virginia legislature realized that if we were going to bring down injuries and deaths from vehicle crashes down even more, it had to be by changing driver behavior. Let me explain. A University of Indiana study in 1979 determined that 2 to 3% of vehicle crashes happen due to mechanical problems. Another 4 or 5% are due to road conditions, and the remaining 93% happen because of a driver's actions or inactions. What that means is a large number of those crashes could have been avoided or made less severe if the driver had known what to do. With that in mind, Virginia joined a growing number of states beginning in the 1990s that offer a driver improvement class option for either having a ticket dismissed or the points removed from your record. And, as it turned out, it worked. By about 2014, the rate of highway deaths had been cut nearly in half from the mid-1990s. Part of that is due to the technological advances. Overall, vehicles are safer than they were 25 years ago. But the biggest part of the decline in highway death rate had to do with how people were driving. How do we know that? Well, for one thing, the rate started to rise again after 2012. Why, after all those years of steady gain, would the roads start becoming less safe? It was pretty clear. It was because of a new driver behavior, using cell phones while driving. Our numbers of crashes that had been decreasing steadily started rising again. By the way, you may have noticed that I use the term vehicle crashes and not car accidents. An accident suggests that it's no one's fault. But we know better than that, don't we? Remember, that 1979 University of Indiana study showed that 93% of crashes resulting from driver behavior. In fact, a recent National Highway Traffic Safety Administration study not only confirmed this, but actually found a slightly higher percentage of crashes due to human error. And we saw it confirmed as well when a driver's behavior, using a cell phone, made the rate of crashes start to rise again. So let's be honest. They're not car accidents. They're crashes. What I want to do in this class is to give you the tools to avoid crashes, if you can, and to make any crashes that do happen less serious. As far as I'm concerned, that's a better reason to take this driver improvement clinic than earning driver safety points or getting lower insurance rate. Before we go any further, let's take a look at what to expect in this class.